Fake news, more like first news. America's First News with Matt Ray.
Good Friday morning. America's First News continues on this 12th day of July. New this morning, Republican State Representative Robert Foster of Mississippi, who's running for governor, has blocked a female reporter from shadowing him on a campaign trip to, quote, avoid any situation that may evoke suspicion or compromise his marriage. Foster's campaign director said a male colleague would need to accompany the female reporter on the upcoming 15-hour campaign trip because they thought the optics of the candidate with a woman, even a working reporter, could be used in a smear campaign to insinuate an extramarital affair. Paranoia, smart thinking. Let's bring in our guest this morning. Kelly Accetta is an expert on gender issues. You can find out more at truth.coach. Kelly, thank you for joining us here on America's First News. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Matt.
So we heard the reasoning there from Mr. Foster. He said he just didn't even want the optics of something possibly creating a smear campaign. Is this a wise decision? I know he also cited his Christian faith, but what is it a wise decision, prudent, outdated? I mean, your thoughts on this?
Well, if you're looking at someone that has a career where their character really doesn't affect, your accountant or someone like that. But unfortunately, we really look at someone's character when we vote in the voting booths. And you just have to look at the history, especially over the last 2 decades, that there's been so many times a candidate has been completely run out of the race because of insinuation, because of a smear campaign that later on proved to have no merit.
So he's going on record, I guess. He's running on the record, I guess, what you're saying there. From the perspective of the female reporter, though, I have to be honest, I have many female reporter friends. They think this is absurd. I mean, they really do. It's given freedom of the press. This is absurd.
Absolutely. And, it's such a struggle for us as women. We just had the Me Too movement come out. We're starting to gain ground. We're starting to really be our voices heard and have equal time. And there's all these benefits and things that are happening that are great for women. But we have to look at the numbers. There was a study done by Lean In and SurveyMonkey just recently that shows that 60% of male managers, they're uncomfortable mentoring, socializing, and having one-on-one chats with women in their workplace. And, that's up 14 points from last year. And I was afraid of this because, again, so much has come out, and men are now really sensitive to not, doing something to offend a woman or be inappropriate. Now they're just like, okay, if I don't put myself in that situation, I can't offend her. I can't be blamed for something. And honestly, I kind of adopted this same philosophy my whole career. I was never in a man's office without the door cracked. I was never alone with a man for a lunch or a dinner. I'd always bring somebody else along because I, as a female, didn't ever want to be thought that I was climbing the ladder, per se, inappropriately. It's unfortunately, and Larison says this in her interview. She says it in her interview that people, when they see a woman with a man, are going to assume. That's a direct quote from her. Wow. So how does she not? And then, and again, I know this is a frustrating issue for women, but it's a real thing that men are dealing with right now. And, especially when in the interview, he says that he made a vow to his wife. She rolled her eyes. Yeah. This is not to be taken lightly. Men are really struggling with how to be appropriate in this day and age.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, yes, you're right. But I also think he's getting a lot of criticism for something that he genuinely believes in. He mentioned his faith. He mentioned his beliefs. I would assume that he's also talking to his base, his constituents, the people he wants to vote for him. I'm assuming they probably share his same values. I guess that, to me, is the very basic argument of all of this. I mean, if you want to really boil it down to what it comes down to, that would be the very basis of this.
And absolutely, especially if after watching the interview, I really do believe it is his faith that has wanted him to make that commitment to his wife. And, you have to just respect that. I don't care how much you want to stomp and scream. If someone has a character trait because of their faith, or they have a decision because of their faith, that's just a decision that they're making. She wants to do the interview. He didn't ask for it. It's not like he's saying, oh, yes, come interview me and then bring somebody with you. She wants to do the interview. So why does she have to be in the car with him? Why not just show up where he's at and shadow him when there's plenty of people around, or bring along somebody in the press pool or somebody in the someone. There's accommodations. You're in the press. I'm sure there's accommodations that you make for people all the time that want certain or different ways of being interviewed, or different.
Honestly, I don't. But I just won't. I just will not do it. But but I understand your point of view. Believe me, I do. The book is How to Defuse the Landmines We Plant in Our Lives. Tell us about it.
Well, it's a book that I've been studying and training women for 20-plus years on 5 different continents. And, I realized that there were a lot of things that I did in my life to trip myself up, but it was common. It was a common thread. And so the landmines that I talk about are things like mommy guilt or comparison or offendability, things that, life's already hard enough for women. And these are things that we do and bring into our day-to-day life that make our life even harder. And I just really wanted to share with women how to eradicate those landmines, basically, from their life and, just have more joy.
Yeah. That's something we should all do. Very basic, but very true. Kelly, we appreciate your time. For more information about the book, Amazon or your website, truth.coach.
Yes, sir.
Okay, both of those. The book is How to Defuse the Landmines We Plant in Our Lives. Kelly Accetta joining us this morning. The website, truth.coach. Kelly, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me, Matt.